Here's a quick little tutorial showing you how I refashioned the Coquelicot skirt with ties to have side buckles instead. I made this Coquelicot skirt a few years ago using a Scottish wool fabric that I was very lucky to find at the thrift store. I sewed up view A, which is the half circle skirt, and the D-ring inner waistband as its adjustable closure. I had made extra long ties so I could tie it up in the front, but I found myself not wearing this skirt much because the ties were usually bothersome under a coat, as I would usually wear this one in the winter. A few years ago I published a blog post detailing how to sew leather side buckles, and that skirt is one of my favorites for winter. So that is why I wanted to create another version of the side buckle for my wool skirt. If you wish to sew your skirt with fabric side ties or the leather ties, there's a free download for the buckle template located near the top of the blog post. The first page is for the leather template, and the second page is the new fabric template that I created based off of what I created here today. To start, I cut off the ties, keeping a bit of seam allowance so I could turn it under later. At this point, I was still figuring out exactly how I was going to do this little refashioning project, so overall it didn't turn out super neat, but that's okay, I still love it. I still love the way it turned out. I no longer had any of the same wool fabric in my scrap bin, so I had to create the buckles using the fabric from the ties. Therefore, my seam allowance was much smaller than the template I created. Using the small square piece, create a tube with it by folding it in half along the dotted line and sew it together using a seam allowance of 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. Then insert 2 D-rings and fold the tube in half so that the raw edges are meeting. You can sew a line of stitches to secure the D-rings, then insert it into your waistband, making sure the raw edges of the waistband are turned inwards. Mine ended up being quite bulky since I previously had the ties there, but if you're doing this from the get-go, it should be a bit neater than mine. Next, sew up the tab part of the buckle. Fold the tab along the dotted line right sides together, then sew it together with a seam allowance of 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. Then you'll want to trim down the seam allowance to about 5 millimeters or 1/4 of an inch or just below that, and clip the corner before turning it right sides out. I am using the end of a pencil to turn it out. Give it a good press and then turn in the raw edge about 2 centimeters or 3/8 of an inch. Mark on the skirt 10 centimeters or 4 inches from the side seam and pocket edge, and pin the tab with the end facing or going towards the front of the skirt. You'll then want to sew it down to the waistband along the edge of the tab, making a small square. Repeat the same for the other side. And now you're done. To secure, it is attached the same way as the inner waistband, so you just need to insert the tab into both D-rings, then back through one. I love my new skirt, and I find the buckles actually easier to adjust than the ties were. I know I'm going to wear it much more often now. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what you thought and if this is something you'd like to give a try.